Alright, so how long have you been a writer and journalist?
Writer and journalist. I've been working as a writer and journalist, I want to say, for 3.5 years now. Though I was, trying to do it before then, I got my start in San Francisco. I was living out there and got an internship with a magazine, a music magazine, Accelerator. That was probably the first thing that I did in journalism.
Okay, how did you end up working for Creative Loafing?
Creative Loafing? Through an internship as well. They do a quarterly internship. I had already done that internship out there, so I had some published clips. It was sort of key to the whole thing, having something published somewhere, And that got my foot in the door, and then once I did that, they kept me on after it.
So, how do you feel about the rise of online journalism and the decline of print? Clearly.
Yeah. Well, I'm younger, obviously, so it's been around the whole time that I've been working. So it seemed always like the only way it is, So I can't speak from someone, I see older people in the industry, and sometimes they have a harder time, adjusting to it or feeling comfortable with it. I'd say that I think a lot of the stuff about print dying, in my opinion, is overblown.
Okay.
I think online is going to be like this thing that does all of these things better than we could ever do before. Like, you couldn't get a story to someone in an hour, right? And get it disseminated everywhere, which is amazing for the internet. But also, there are things that paper can do that the internet can't do as well, right? I mean, paper can put something out in front of you and let you sit with it for a while and take it in and look at the picture, and you can come to the coffee shop and just pick it up, and you'll see 3 or 4 articles. Like, if you read the news article there, you might flip to the next section and see the food article, right? Which you wouldn't maybe necessarily have done if you were just following links on your computer. And the truth is, advertisers pay for paper, and they don't really pay online. I mean, they pay, but not as much. So I think if the industry is going to survive, it's still going to be with some sort of print component.
And so how do you personally go about capturing the story? Like, what mediums do you use, things like that?
Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, typically, I write about visual arts and I write about books, right? So let's say there's an art show happening at Acapella or Aurora Coffee, right? Yeah. And I'm on the email list, right? Like, I sign up to be on all the email lists, or ideally you try to at some point make a personal connection with people that organize these things.
They can just tell you about the stories.
Exactly. But even, let's say I have no personal connection there, I'm just simply on the email list. So I pay attention to when things are coming up. Like, everything in CL, aside from the straight news stuff, is event related, right? In the arts music, like if there's a band playing this weekend, this is the week that we run the article about it. There's an art opening happening this weekend. That's the week that we run it about it. So what you do is you sort of schedule these things so you'll have the article done to coincide with the event, right? And generally it'll be something like you contact the person who's organized it or the publicist. You set up an interview. Online-wise, because I run the arts blog. Okay.
You do a great job.
Thank you. I was wondering how you found me. If it's just a story on the blog, a lot of times I'll shoot out questions to just email. Because I turn around 4 or 5 stories a week on the arts blog. And that's like driving out, recording someone like this, going back transcribing it. Is a serious amount of time, whereas you're able to cover more if you do some stuff over the phone, over email, that sort of thing. Like, a lot of online encourages a quicker sort of journalism. Like, it encourages things like we do previews, let's say like visual arts previews, where it's just I get images from an artist, and I get a couple words about what their show is about, and then I just put up those images on the blog, say a few words about, you know, what they told me, and then that's that, and people can go to that link to see, like, oh, I want to just check out a couple images, that sort of thing. But it's not the sort of in-depth journalism that you would get, like, you know, in a feature here in the paper, you know. So anyway, I guess I got you most of the way there, right? Meet up with somebody, right? Do the interview. You know, ideally, if you're going to do something, a feature, a well-written one, I think meeting somebody in person is really important to sort of get an impression of them, be able to see how they go about responding. You know, also, and you know, in a situation like this, you can have a conversation. Just, you know, just me and you. It doesn't necessarily have to be about hitting these bullet points, right? Because it's harder to pull that off
through email,
even on a phone. You know, it's hard to pull that. Or some people have a better phone rapport than I do, but
so do you prefer to actually meet the person?
Yeah, if I'm gonna do real writing about it, absolutely.
If it's just like a preview, then email
or phone, yeah, exactly.
So how long does it usually take you to actually get the story out, like whether it be in the paper or online?
I don't think it'd be a big deal if I told you how our production schedule goes.
Okay.
Let's say we print on Thursdays, right? So next Thursday.
It's weekly.
It's a weekly, yeah. And next Thursday we'll print the newspaper, right? So that means the week before this Thursday is the deadline. So that means before that Thursday, I probably do my reporting on Monday, assign a photographer to shoot it either at the same time or to meet back up with the person, have my draft working, generally done. I like to have it done on Wednesday, so I can look it over, and then on Thursday turn it into my editor. She takes a look at it, and usually on Friday we go over the edits on it, and then the actual, like, has to be into the printer is by Monday. We send all the files to the printer, and then on Thursday we get the print product on it.
So when you send it in to the printer on Monday, do you usually put it online on the same day, or is it just...
Oh, that's actually one of the interesting things. You know, you try and sort of play these things out and figure out what's... Because you don't want to drop the whole newspaper's worth of stuff on the same day, right? Because you're overwhelming everybody. You know, people aren't going to be able to sort through it. So... I had a book review of a new book about Martin Luther King's assassination and funeral last week. And so it wasn't scheduled to go into print until Thursday, right? Because the event that it was related to the reading was on Friday. But Martin Luther King Day was on Monday. And I was like, we gotta get this shit out on Monday. You know, that's what we need to do. So that's the sort of thing you think about. You know, you sort of schedule it out, and that's more of an editorial job than mine, but it is part of a decision-making process.
So it depends on the timing and if your editor is...
And people do it different ways, you know. I've seen magazines that release it all at once, you know, and I don't think that's a good tactic. I think staggering it out and trying to sort of think about a logical way that it could be arranged is a smarter way to do it. And you know, we produce so much content that's not for print, right? We produce stuff that's specifically for online, and then we specifically for print. I've noticed that sometimes you can write something that works really, really well, and print will get good response from print readers about, but you put it online, and it's written in a way that's not fast-paced in the same way that online things are, and it doesn't fit into that sort of like media-rich YouTube sort of aesthetic, and people just sort of pass on it. It doesn't get a lot of hits. It doesn't get linked around. So, sort of different perspectives, you know.
Well, thank you very much for the input. Yeah, but it.